Sports and Entertainment. Y'all hit that like and sub to the channel if you're not a member, and also hit the notifications too. Well, salute to everybody that rocks with me day ones as well as the new subs too. Um, Now we know that yesterday I talked about Damon Jones. Well, I didn't talk about it, but I made a post yesterday that he was he was the first one to be arraigned on yesterday, which was November the 6th. Then followed by Chauncey Billups, who's going to be arraigned on the 24th of this month, and then on the 8th of December, then we got Terry Rozier, and it's been up in the air on what these guys were going to do. Uh, I know that many people were making the speculation that they were going to go ahead and cut a deal. And uh, the situation is that Damon Jones, uh, his parents, the house that he had purchased for them to use as collateral for bail. Um, and in this situation that's about to come about, most likely Damon Jones is going to be willing to go ahead and do it. Now. Shout out to I want to give a shout out to two brothers, man. I want to give a shout out to Ticket TV, and I also want to give a shout out to True Raw for TV. And um, first off, Ticket had made a good point. I listened to some of what he was saying yesterday. He made a good point that if you're willing to cut a deal or cop a plea and talk, especially on the federal level, you got to be facing some time. Okay, usually is anywhere from like about 40 years, 40, 50 years, shit up to life. You know what I'm saying? And also, it's who you're gonna give up and who you're gonna talk about, what information you're gonna put out there. And is Damon Jones? That's the question that we're bringing up. Is Damon Jones going to be willing to give up, these big fish that they're looking for? Because if Damon Jones is going to talk, which is looking most likely he will, then 9 times out of 10, Chauncey Billups is going to. And now with the Terry Rozier situation, I kind of had also said this that about Chauncey. Would he be willing? Well, he brought up a point that we got to see if he's going to be willing to cut a deal with the feds too as well. Well, now we see that Damon Jones is leaning toward that way. Now body language can be misleading sometimes. I'm not going to go on just based on people's body language and stuff like that, because when the Dolph trial was happening, uh, when Orange Mountain had went to trial and everything, people were saying, "Oh, he looked stressed out. He looked this way. He looked that way." But guess the man was found not guilty or whatever, you know, here we are today. So body language can be misleading. Now, with Damon Jones, man, and all these guys, man, this is a situation, man, that it's too big of a hole to really crawl out of. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, okay, you might end up, copping a plea, end up talking and deal or whatever. However, you still have another conundrum that you have to deal with, and that's the underworld. That's the people that you might have dealt with. Now, if Damon Jones, if Damon Jones is willing to talk and give up people stuff like that, maybe there's some people that might not have been mentioned that are going to come up. But I find it interesting, man, that only only our brothers, only the black individuals are coming up in this situation. Well, we know that it's much more bigger than this. So yeah, did they make the wrong decision? If if they're uh, if they're guilty, yeah, they did. But it doesn't stop there, and they're not the only ones that are involved. But I believe that all three of these guys, well, really, Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones are going to cut a deal because you know if if you're facing 40 to 50 years, I mean, you might as well just go ahead and hang it up in terms of life. We're talking about on the federal level, you're going to have to do all that time. Uh, and do I feel sorry for these? I mentioned, I said time and time again, I don't feel sorry for these individuals, man, because you put yourself in this situation. You put your of course you put your life at risk, but you put other people's lives at risk too, because we're talking about money, we're talking about gambling, we're talking about criminal organization, things of that nature. And then what do? You put your family at risk for being harmed, or something that could be potentially worse. So, like I said, no, I don't feel sorry for them. I don't have any type of sympathy, empathy in a situation like this. Now, do I have anything against what they were doing? Like, if it was kept, to a minimum, and there wasn't all this corruption going on, then yeah, I wouldn't have no problem with it. But the fact, Chauncey Billups, I always look at that situation that me and the brother Cypress TV we were talking about, how Chauncey Billups, he's coaching the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers are doing good now. Now they're 5-3 when they haven't been over 500 in about 4 seasons. The Portland Trailblazers have not been over 500 in in about 4 seasons. And the thing about it is you got to wonder, was Chauncey Billups involved in that involved in that nonsense? You know what I'm saying? Did he have some corruption that was going on when it pertained to the gambling and him being on the sideline and him being on the coach's bench and stuff, and him just clapping his hands and stuff, going through the motions, but at the same time he's up in there, you know, doing some under the table stuff, some fraud stuff. That's what we got to ask ourselves. So this situation done spiraled out of control. I'm not surprised by it. Now we got to see, because now that Damon Jones has said that, well, most likely, he's gonna go ahead and. Now we got to be prepared for what other names are going to come up, because other names is going to start come up. Other situations are going to start coming up, and the fact of the matter is they brought the NFL into it. You know what I'm saying? The NFL is involved now. The NFL is involved. Um, other other entities are involved too. Now we don't need to get started on Major League Baseball. We don't even need to talk about that. But this thing is huge. This thing is huge, man. And I always liked Damon Jones, man. Like, it doesn't take anything away from these guys. Like, I was looking at Tony Allen. I was looking at him the other day with the situation that he's going through and the body cam and stuff like that. That it just recently it came out and stuff. And I mean, man, these guys are being just like anybody else, but it's like you got to wonder, like, what were you doing post in your post career, man? Like, what are you guys getting involved in? Like, where's your money going? You know what I'm saying? And that's what we. Like I said, do I understand you want to make a little extra money for whatever reason that you're doing it? You know what I'm saying? Because gambling is an addiction, just like any other vice out there. You know what I'm saying? Gambling. You know what I'm saying? Uh, drugs, any type of drug, alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Prostitution, all that stuff, man. Everybody got their own vices. So, besides that, man, I just want to get on here and speak my piece, man, about this situation. Y'all hit that like and sub if you are not a member of the channel, and hit those notifications straight to the point. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. I'm out.